Good morning, friends and colleagues. You know, I haven't had a chance to meet so many of you this time that I haven't met before and had great conversations. So let me just get saying goodbye out of the way. US Air changed our flight to 4 hours earlier, so we're going to be some of those terrible people that try to slip out quietly at 11, and I'm so sorry that we can't say proper goodbye. So goodbye. Okay. So good morning. My name is Barbara Chamberlin. This is Amy Muise. We're from New Mexico State University's Learning Games Lab. So I'm working on a little project with Jesse Schell. We were talking about him the other day, an educator, game maker, business owner. He's fairly well informed about games. And he said to me that your problem is that you are making the wrong kinds of games. To which I said, ouch. To which he said, no. You make beautiful games, you make effective games, you make good games, but they don't have the content people will buy. And I said, well, that's not really the point. And he said, what do you mean? That's not the point. What are you trying to do if you're not trying to turn a profit? And I said, well, we want to make beautiful games, effective games, good games that help people learn the content that they may not be willing to buy, because that's what we do. At a university, we're a nonprofit, and to which he said, hey, achievement unlocked. You have met your goal, congratulations. And he understands that, because a lot of the work they do at Shell Games is transformative games as well. But our job is not to turn a profit or to make money. Our job is to do outreach, to educate. And that means that our games are very diverse. So our games are to help the girl that doesn't know that in 3 weeks she's going to go to her best friend's grandma's house and there's going to be a four-wheeler there. And if she doesn't understand now how you properly sit on the seat, she might put two of her friends with her on the seat of an ATV and have the kind of fatal accident that kids that don't understand these things have. Or we're trying to help the kid who is learning to cook in 6th grade avoid the types of mistakes that lead to listeria and other foodborne pathogens getting into the food. These are not things that people are looking for on the App Store and are saying, hey, I think I'd like to learn more about cooking food to the proper temperature. That's not what they're looking for. So our challenge is, how do we help them find this information? How do we get them? How do we get the eyeballs? And Mr. Schutz, you said yesterday, you asked very well, how do you know, do research, how do you know people are learning? That's our objective. We know people are learning. We aspire to be as immersive as Touch Press, as polished as we see in Story Toys, as playful as Book of Boca. That's one of the reasons that we come here, and why the magic that Warren has created here makes this so directly relevant to our studio, is because we aspire to have these kinds of levels. But first and foremost, we have to transform, change knowledge, change behavior, transform our learning. And so I will say that I think we're pretty good at making. And we do apps, and we do web-based games, and we have virtual labs. We're very diverse. We have children, we have adults, we have Chinese-speaking workers in the food service industry, so we have different content learners and different types of learning. But if we're being honest here, I will tell you that we are enthusiastically inexperienced at marketing, because that hasn't been what we do. But placement and marketing are really very similar, and we need to get better at that. And if we're being completely honest, we totally suck at generating revenue, which is not surprising. You don't often meet the goals you don't work for. So that's where we're coming into this today. So what are we doing, and how do we place these? Let me turn this over to Amy, and she'll let you know kind of what she has been doing in this role.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to rephrase, what are we doing?
But are we doing?
So,
You all ask yourself that.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
So I've been working for a year or so trying to investigate this question of how can we get eyeballs, how can we potentially get revenue, if not because we need to make a profit, but because if we want to put something on another platform that was funded for one platform, we need to have a revenue stream so that we can push things to app, translate things to other languages, increase our audience that way. So usually how it goes is I talk to partners about placement, and we go back and forth for a long time and discuss all the details, and then I go to Barb and talk about it with her, and she says, maybe not. So we are very picky because as educators and representatives of all these different researchers who've created the materials that we're transforming into interactive modes, we want to make sure that nothing's ever being exploited, that the proper audience is being given free access to the materials, if appropriate, that no one's going to be copying and distributing these. So we have a lot of concerns, so that's what makes our partnership process slow and careful. But nevertheless, we have some really powerful partnerships going, especially with Brain Pop, which is in so many schools, and Glass Lab, but also with lots of these other online portals. Edmodo's a great one. All of the PBS Media has some of our stuff. All of these free portals that teachers go to get curriculum materials, and then also some of these publisher portals that contract with school districts and deliver them a package of materials.
In many cases, all of those ones are just websites that want to link to our stuff and they need information or they need text or they need descriptions. Brain Pop and Glass Labs actually require APIs for us to place our game within their site, which is it's a whole nother level of text bubble.
Right, so here's a screenshot from Brain Pop's gaming site, which is called Game Up. And in order to integrate into that, we provide them with a whole series of assets that fit in with their system. And currently this is free. They charge for the video side of their site, but the game side is currently free. And not only do they have a teacher community, but they themselves will make the curriculum materials that go with your game so that teachers immediately have a lesson that they can use. And this just shows the wide variety of topics that Brain Pop has gathered.
Those are games just within math.
Oh, this is just math,
within
sorry.
math, yeah.
Yes. Okay, here's our game, Game Over Gopher, which appears at Brain Pop, and it shows that they identified other content on their site that would be related to this game. So after the teacher uses this game in the classroom, she can then play this Brain Pop movie that's about the coordinate system and teaches quadrants, and they can also gather lesson ideas. And then this is the same game at the Glass Lab Game Services portal, which also offers teachers a system where they can assign games to their students, gather information about which students are achieving which learning objectives in which games. Not only do they get a report, they can actually do real-time monitoring of their students. So if all of you were playing Game Over Gopher right now, my teacher login would tell me, somebody is really struggling to use the iceberg lettuce tool, and that means they don't know where the origin is on the coordinate system. So I could go over to Mark and I could say, very subtly, just, hey, have you tried the iceberg lettuce yet, Mark? What do you think? Where are you gonna put it on the coordinate system? And that way, if a student's struggling with a particular learning item, the teacher can nip that in the bud and get everybody moving forward. And that is a subscription model with Glass Lab. And they have web-based games, but also apps, and that's Water Bears, of course.
Did y'all catch Charlie said yesterday? So Water Bears is from Shell Games, and she said yesterday they're currently, and they're brand new. They just went to subscription model. They want to eventually do revenue sharing with developers. Their projections are very promising. We're very optimistic. But she had said that they have more downloads from the Glass Lab side than from their others, which speaks to the power of partnership.
So this shows you the types of things that the teacher is able to access. They call them watch out and shut out. So watch out is when I see that Mark still doesn't know where the iceberg lettuce goes. And then shout out would be, let's say, 5 minutes later, the system tells me, oh yeah, he dropped 5 iceberg lettuces. Then I can give him a thumbs up, tell him, oh yeah, great, I see that you mastered that. Okay.
So when it comes down to eyeballs, so this, you know, the problem with statistics is they can only tell you the what, they can only tell you the why. And in this case, it's not really even clear the what because I'm comparing some apples to oranges. But this is what we're looking at. So we're looking at just some of our data. We just pulled our numbers for April. So we have 13 of our games in virtual labs on BrainPop, and we had more than 500,000 users in 1 month. We just got our numbers for May, and that had it about 15,000 more. And that was in May, which is kind of the end of the school year. So clearly, BrainPop has been a fabulous, fabulous partnership for us in getting those eyeballs and in driving people to content that they're not normally looking for, which was our goal. So right now, Glass Lab Game for April, we had 12,000 play sessions and users on that. So again, it's small, it just started. Their beta is just for math and 6th grade and related things. So we're hoping that that grows, and they're very optimistic about their projections as well. So we looked at 20 of our web server pages and resources. They're not all the same, but for those 20, we had 60,000 hits on our own server. So as we've all known, the if you build it, they will come model is not always highly effective. And we're getting some love there, but that's certainly not the eyeballs we're getting elsewhere. And then our iOS apps, and we have 15 different, they're all very, very different as well, 6,000. So actually the app space for us, we are not getting a lot of views on that, and that's something we're having to consider. Our Mass Snacks games, which are our most highly researched, we know exactly for whom those are effective, 5th grade and 6th graders, that they're very instrumental, really lovely resources. I love those, and they're online, and we haven't turned them into apps yet. And I don't know if it's worth the money for us to do that. So in the interest of getting some information from you, start locating your lasers, because I want to suck some of your expertise out to help us. What has this cost us so far? Well, Amy works for us full-time. Half of her work is doing grant writing and helping us on the writing and the documentation. And so we estimate half of her time is in managing these partnerships. But we're also estimating that for every API that we've done for Glass Labs, Congregator, we're spending about $25,000. And that's not just for the code, but it's the code, it's the graphic changes, it's the developer diaries that we're putting together, it's the rewriting it, the changing, the finding the own files. So when we decide to place an API, that's an important decision for us, because this money isn't coming from the original grant. This is money we have to find someplace else. So we take that very seriously. And then, of course, we know the value of app updates. This isn't even redesigning our apps. At that 5,000 is just, hey, the iOS put out a new version. And so I am now looking at revenue generation just to break even in the maintenance. And that's sort of our goal. So to that end, so one of our major questions is that issue of do free apps get used, right? Because what we kind of have always heard before is that free apps get downloaded and not used. But paid apps get downloaded and actually used, because the idea is if you pay for it, you're going to use it. If it's free, you don't value it. So we're able to test this a little bit through another weird story. We have 2 very similar apps where you're diving for things under the water. In the paid version, you dive for pearls, and in the free version, you dive for lobsters. Whole weird story, but that's okay. So we finally have our data on that to look at. So again, we just looked at 1 month. So in 1 month, our paid Pearl Diver program had 62 downloads. And the free one had over 1,000. So we're getting distribution there, that's exciting. However, the paid app, for every 1 download, we saw 40 sessions being used. Whereas for the free app, 1 download, 4 sessions. But in the end, the free app still had 3,000 sessions of use. So do I make it free, knowing that on average 1 download still only gets 4 uses, whereas it's 40 sessions if they pay for it. That's how much more engaged they are. But in the end, we actually got more sessions at the end. So this is something we're kind of struggling with. I know with App Analytics, we now all have this data to see use versus downloads, and I would welcome y'all's input as you look through this on your own. Yes?
Is it a session an individual user?
An individual play session, yes. And we don't know, for example, how much of that, but we can see a lot of it's happening Monday through Friday. So we know it's happening in schools. Now, what I would be interested in looking at the same thing is for a single app that has free days versus a single app that has paid days, what is the use sessions like on that? And we haven't done that, but I suspect some of you have that with your information. So it begs the question, if we just want distribution, do we make it free? I don't know. So if you get your lasers out, and if you would advise us, please, on your best recommendation. And I can put my email there, so if you say, well, this is so much more complex, Barb, just drop me a line, help me out, I would love it. So to get uses, if our goal is to get uses based on your own experience and what we've heard, should we make it free all the time? Should we make it 99 cents with free days? Or should we make it $2.99 with 99-cent days? Michelle told me he thought it should be $2.99 with free days.
Yes.
And so that might be something else. And then they're kind of put the box in. So that would be, okay, so we're seeing a lot of free and a lot of 99-cent with free days. I kind of, at this point, I don't care about making the money. I know that's crazy. I want people to use it. And I kind of am feeling like if it's valuable and they get it for free, they, okay.
And we do know that most of those free users are at educational institutions.
Yes. Okay, so now let me ask you, what if we want to generate revenue? Let's say I want to make some of that break-even money now. If that's my goal, what should I price it at? Yeah. Okay, so kind of more on the $2.99. In some ways, I feel like the $2.99 is our subtle ways of saying, hey, everybody, this is quality.
Yeah.
So, okay. Moving to Android, one of our big questions, is it worth it to us? Many of our apps are in Unity now, our Mass apps weren't, so we have to completely redo that. We're kind of worried about the support level for Android and all the devices, and so that's a cost to us again. Multiple stores, multiple SKUs freak us out a little bit. Now I know revenue is unlikely because I pay attention to y'all, and you're telling me Android is not the place where you're going to get a lot of revenue. And Pierre, Pierre, he did such a place. Pierre, thank you so much for this blog post. For everybody who comes and shares honestly their numbers, it's so helpful.
If you haven't seen it, make sure you have a look.
Yeah, he put it off the Duster Magic page. Lovely blog post. And he kind of mentioned he had a cousin who wanted to take one of his apps to Android, which we were joking about. That sounds like a euphemism. But I think you actually had a cousin who wanted to take it to Android. And the impression I kind of got from this and from others is that for us, Android may still not be worth it. The user base isn't there yet, the numbers aren't there, and certainly for our cost in taking it there, it may not be. So you all tell me if you think that's fair or not. For Android, do you really feel that it truly delivers more downloads, more eyeballs for us and uses, thus it would be worth the cost for us? Yes, no, or ask next year.
I would like to know. Well, I have another box.
Yeah? What's the other box?
Do it and give us the numbers.
Well, yeah, you give me the $75,000 and I will do it. That'll be our, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, thanks for the clarity on that. So some no's, okay, and some yeses.
Why would they say yes?
Yeah, why the yeses?
The question is for your apps that are already in Unity.
Right, no, because these are not for the ones for Unity. These are the ones that we'd have to reprogram to go to Android, forgive me. So it's a $35,000 minimum upfront for us. You have totally validated my decisions, thank you. Okay. You don't always do research and data to prove your own assumptions, but when it turns out, it's awesome. Okay.
This would be the first sprained ankle ever in a Dustin
Okay, well, thank you for the input. As I mentioned, I'm New Chamber on Twitter. We have our emails. It's such a helpful community, and I love that, and I appreciate it. I hope we've helped you see a little bit of our insights, and if you have any wisdom on how we could really get more eyeballs for the work that we do, hey, we're, as I've been saying this morning, a rising tide raises all boats, and would appreciate your input. Thank you.